Welcome back to the Dark Reading News Desk here at RSA. Terry Sweeney with Dark Reading. Joining me now is Shai Morag, Senior Vice President and General Manager of Cloud Security for Tenable. Shai, welcome and thanks for doing News Desk.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you spending some time with us today. We are talking about how CNAPP became the de facto standard in cloud security, which is an ambitious topic. Let's just start with a little context first. Talk about why cloud security is such a ubiquitous part of the threat landscape today. And no fair saying, like the John Dillinger answer of, that's where the money is.
So that's where the money is. I would say that if you think about cloud in terms of the journey for enterprises, so though cloud has been around again for the last probably 5, 10, 15 years even, it's still new for a lot of the enterprises. And cloud is relatively different, I would say, with the on-prem. So a lot of different, I would say, threat vectors, a lot of different technologies. If you think about what's going on in the cloud, again, you have sometimes infrastructure as code, you have Kubernetes, you have containers, you have everything again. So it's different. This is one. With the difference, again, you also need to make sure that you train everyone. So shortage of expertise also creates some challenges for a lot of the enterprises, a lot of the organizations. Again, they need to make sure that they train their employees, of course, but also sometimes, again, they cannot hire, new and experienced cloud security, or I would say just cloud experts. It's very hard. To add on top of that, I would say usually the solutions that we had before in terms of cloud security was multi-tooling again. So we have different point solutions for different things. So all of that to add on top of that, multi-cloud, to add on top of that, the gaps, I would say, inside the organization, meaning not just one stakeholder in the cloud in terms of security. So you have a lot of things that's going on. Again, you have all your data and all your assets, a lot of your assets and important data in the cloud. But also, again, everything is changing. And it's very hard, again, to make sure that your security is where you should be.
Sure. So that's a great logistical snapshot. If you look at the kinds of cloud-based threats that organizations have to contend with, how does that look? Is there a clean way to organize the kinds of threats that they have to contend with?
So again, if you think about threats and exposure potentially, like in risk in the cloud, you have a lot of potential, I would say, vectors. Again, you have misconfigurations. Again, you need to make sure that everything is according to where they should be. I would say in the cloud, everything is very dynamic and also very configurable. Again, it should be for mostly developers and DevOps. So everything is very flexible. So you need to make sure that you're not making any mistakes. Vulnerabilities, of course, for all the software that you have. So that's another something that is very important, of course, to make sure in terms of potential exposure that you have. If you think about like the main thing in the cloud in terms of access, it's mostly based on identity because there is no more network access. So keeping sure that all your identities have the right permissions and the right entitlements to the thing that they actually need makes it also more difficult, also potentially a threat and exposure, of course, for your organization. So on top of that, as we discussed about the full life cycle, so you have infrastructure as code, and you have code that is also deploying some of the production environments. We also need to make sure that there are no mistakes there. So you have a lot of potential, I would say, vectors again, or exposure vectors here.
So CNAPP as a category didn't even exist 5 years ago. So it's a little astonishing that has established itself to the degree that it has. For viewers who may be fresh to the concept of CNAPP, cloud-native application protection platforms, talk a little bit about what they do and how they address some of the challenges that you've outlined here.
So at the end, CNAPP is here, again, to consolidate a lot of the offering, a lot of the other cloud security solutions that we had, the point solutions. You want to have an holistic solution that gives you all your risk visibility and assess your risk, and of course, later on also remediation, with all the context that you can bring. So you don't want to have like a point solution that focus on the entitlements, or another point solution that focus on the VM. You want to bring everything together and see the context of the risk, context of the finding. Think of a vulnerable machine. Is it a critical risk for the organization? Maybe it's a critical vulnerability, but is it a critical risk for the organization, or is it a low severity risk? without understanding the context of, is it a publicly exposed machine? Can it access sensitive data in the cloud? So without all of that, it's really very hard to prioritize and later on also remediate. So bringing everything together in one holistic place, I would say, on one holistic platform, this is something that is very important. I would say that as Tenable, we also believe that probably one of the strongest legs should be around the identity and entitlements, again, because 95% of breaches in the cloud happen because of mismanagement of identity, because identity is the new perimeter. So this is one. And also identity controls the blast radius. Think of, again, as we discussed, this vulnerable machine, the blast radius, what it can do, again, if it's vulnerable and if it's exposed, depends on the entitlement of the identity this machine can assume. So at the end, this is also a big part of how we, again, take the approach of the CNAPP.
You were talking a few minutes ago about the skill sets of security professionals and SOC personnel with regard to cloud. In your opinion, are there specific skills that need to be developed among cybersecurity professionals, and to what degree does this impact the cyber workforce shortage that we've been seeing and reading about for, it seems like, even before the pandemic?
Right. So at the end, of course, you also need to make sure that your security person, and again, your security person in the organization knows a little bit more about cloud and needs to be trained on cloud. Several organizations, what we saw a trend also from DevOps. Again, they already know some of the cloud part and also train them to be more of a security practitioner, so that's another option. But you also need to remember that with a good CNAPP solution, like ours, I would say, making sure that it's very friendly and very easy to use, and it also closes some of the gap between the shortage of expertise again, to where the team members, again, where your organization should be. Taking all this complex data and making it simple to consume, simple to understand, simple to analyze. This is also something that is very helpful. So at the end, again, you need to train your folks. Again, you need to train your organization. You need to make sure that they understand cloud, but they don't need necessarily to be cloud experts if you leverage the right solution.
Great. Shai, let's finish with some advice from you, if you will. I'm sure you get this from customers all the time, but what questions should they be asking themselves if they're wondering about whether CNAPP is the right solution for them?
So first they need to, again, to understand, again, what they have in the cloud. They have sensitive data. They have a lot of critical resources for them. What kind of controls they have right now at the end. So if they have sensitive data in the cloud, if they have things that they want to protect in the cloud, at the end, this is the right approach. This is the only, I would say, holistic approach for cloud security. So you want to make sure that this is the thing that you leverage. Again, this is the future, I would say, for cloud security.
Great stuff. Shai, you've built an effective business case for using CNAPPs. Thanks so much for joining us on the news desk today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We've been talking with Shai Morag, Senior Vice President and General Manager of Cloud Security for Tenable. This has been Terry Sweeney for the Dark Reading News Desk. Thanks for joining us for this segment. We'll see you next time.